What's going on, guys? Boom Addicts with the Who's Your Agent podcast. Super excited for episode number 4. Today we got Brett Belknap in the studio, and what can I say about Brett? He wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's one of the more intense individuals that I have talked to. I think part of that has to do with his background of growing up in Detroit and then moving here to Utah. You could still feel the intensity that he was raised with. If I had to guess, I would say he's an ultra competitive individual, and I think that if you were a client of his, if you were working with him on buying or selling a house, I think that you would feel that, but that he's on your team. Everybody knows when they're in competition and when they're in something that's intense and something that is as serious as purchasing a house can be, you want the dude that's competitive on your team. And I can honestly say I've had very few people that I've interacted with that I feel like are as competitive as this dude. You guys will get to know Brett really well in this episode of Who's Your Agent. Let us know in the comments below if there's anybody else that you guys think that we should be interviewing, if there's any other real estate agents that you would like us to be talking to. We're just getting started. Brett Belknap, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Episode number 4, Brett Belknap in the studio today on the Who's Your Agent podcast. We appreciate you coming down, my man.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here.
We've only known each other for how long?
A couple months.
Yeah, a couple months, but I've been super impressed. The first time I went out and saw your guys' space and what you have going there, I was super blown away, so super excited to have you on the show. I think that you're going to be able to create a ton of value for those listening today.
I hope so, man. Perfect,
man. Well, let's get into it just a little bit. We love to start, while we do this, we love to start at the beginning, right? I think it says a lot about a person, about where they were at in life, what they were doing, who they were before they got into real estate. Because what I'm noticing in just a couple of episodes of doing this is who you were before is indicative of how you run your business going forward and how you interact with clients on a daily basis. Yeah. So take us back, how long you've been in the industry, kind of walk us through what it looked like when you kind of made that switch into full-time selling real estate.
Cool. OG backstory on me is what was important to me growing up was, my family, my friends, my boys, girls, and sports, and that's all I did in high school. So,
and you're not from here, right?
No, I'm from Detroit area, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up in high school. It was like, I got straight A's, but that was just because it was easy for me. And like I also like to succeed. So school was easy. I would just like do my homework the hour before, read, network with people around me. So they'd take the test. I'd say, hey, what's on the test? Sometimes get real resuresourceful and grab the test from the bin of the hour before.
So you showed signs of being a real estate agent early on, then, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Figuring out how to succeed in creative ways. So yeah, I loved my friends and I loved, competing. And that's always been what like my life has been centered on. And so after school, it'd be a pickup basketball game and then be practice. And then it would be, hanging out with my friends for a little bit, hanging out with my family, doing dinner. And then, 8 o'clock, we'd have another pickup basketball game. So like that was my life all the time, always going, hated not doing something. Didn't like school, but like just flew by, succeeded, and figured out a way to be successful.
Yeah, so if you hated school, tell me how you think it was that you got straight A's. Because what I've learned in this job is that there's a lot of parts in real estate that I don't like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts in real estate that are annoying to me, that are monotonous, that just kind of like drag on, and I really hate a decent chunk of the business. But it's the parts that I love that just keep this going. Yeah. Right? How did you get through that school knowing that I hate this, but I have to succeed? Was it just that achievement drive? Was it just that like I gotta win?
Yeah, it was probably that. It was like I always appreciated being smart, and my dad was, he's a builder, and my mom was incredibly smart, probably still to this day the smartest person that I know collectively. And so like I did have a good person, people to aspire to, that I looked up to, that intelligence was an important thing. So like I like to do well in school.
So you understood the importance of it.
I understood the importance of intelligence. I never understood the importance of school. It was always like, I never fell in love with learning until I got out of school, until I dropped out of college. And like, I actually realized how to contextualize learning into the thing that I was doing.
Yeah. Cause school is very different than intelligence, right?
Yeah. And I probably conflated it in the beginning, right? I'm like, okay, I get good grades. I'm not learning at a high level, but like I'm doing well enough that I'm getting all straight A's.
You learned how to get straight A's, not necessarily the knowledge, right?
Exactly.
That goes behind straight A's.
Exactly. Because I wanted to be a lawyer when I got to college, and I still look back and I'm like, man, I wish I was a lawyer.
How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't go back.
It's gone now.
It's too late. Yeah. The opportunity's gone. But I still will watch movies. Legally Blind, what's up? Like Lincoln Lawyer or whatever it is. I'm like, dude.
That's a good movie.
Oh, it's great.
It's a great movie.
It's great. And I'm like, dude, I would thrive in that competitive, stressful environment. I love arguing. I love debating. Still to this day, like my wife hates how much I love to argue for the sake of argument. And I'm just like, I love exploring ideas. I love taking 5 different possibilities and putting it under a microscope and figuring out which one survives and which one gives us the greatest chance of being successful. So like I do that in my real estate business. I would love to do that in the court of law, but I didn't, because I didn't find out until after I left college that like I actually love learning for the sake of learning. Like it's invigorating to me. It's enlightening to me to like learn something new that I didn't, but I never realized that's what I was doing in school, in high school or in college until it was too late.
Well, so you graduated from high school in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then how did you end up sitting here, right? How did you end up in Utah? How did you end up in this world?
I had to compromise and go to BYU.
Okay.
Yeah. BYU is a lot cheaper than University of Michigan. University of Michigan was my first love. I watched all the football games. Literally my first memory was watching Michigan football games. So I always wanted to go there, and I wanted to go there and do law. But again, that's $40,000-$50,000 a year as opposed to like 4 or 5 at BYU. So I went to BYU, started doing my thing.
What were you studying at BYU?
I was doing pre-law, so I was doing political science, and then I switched it to entrepreneurship. And then once I got I did my first year at BYU, went on my mission, got home, then I switched it over to entrepreneurship, and I'm like, this is whack. Like, why
school
would
in general?
Yeah, school in general. I'm like, I had kind of made the decision at that point. I'm like, I can't do this much school. As much as I want to be a lawyer, like, I just got to blow up. I got to blow up and take care of the people around me. So I'm like, okay, I'm being an entrepreneur. I'm going to get a degree for entrepreneurship. Like, this doesn't make.
I'm just gonna go do it.
This is counterintuitive to get a degree to be an entrepreneur. So I'm just like, all right, I got to take the leap. Fortunately, like both my parents always believed in me, and they're like, yeah, like we know you're gonna succeed, so go ahead and do it. That was help. I probably would have done it either way, but like it was helpful to have people that believed in me.
So then, why real estate, right? Going into entrepreneurship, people always talk about how real estate, you can run your own business, but there's a lot of people that don't approach it like that, right? There's a lot of real estate agents that say that they're their own boss, but let's call it what it is. They're not, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so tell me,
why they get into it.
But yeah, so like, what was it about real estate that attracted you?
I was trying to figure out how to understand asset classes and be able to invest in those at the highest level. So I look, okay, am I going to be a financial planner? Am I going to be a real estate agent? Am I going to be a stock trader? I'm just like, okay, my dad's a builder. I know I have people skills and sales skills, and like that's never been a concern for me. So I'm like, okay, that's a natural fit for me to be a real estate agent. I learned the investing game. I do it for 5-10 years. I dominate it, and then I move on to the next thing. And like that belief system did evolve for sure because I got into it to understand investment, but like now I'm in it for a completely different purpose.
Well, so you started, let's go back, because like we said at the very beginning, the beginning is kind of what lays the foundation going forward. So you jumped in more as an investor for yourself more than anything?
I wanted to learn the investment game, and I thought that I could do that by selling homes. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna be exposed to all different kind of clientele. I'm gonna teach them, educate them, guide them in the process, learn it for myself, and to the point that I can start buying my own flips and investments, long-term rentals and short-term rentals. And that's what I have been able to build. But I had a lot of those ins that I feel like some people don't have. So like my dad was a builder, and I used to help him demoing and flipping houses as a kid. And also I had his guidance on what I should do. So that was super helpful. I had that in, but he was in Detroit and I was in Utah. And I'm like, okay, I could establish this here. Also wanted to learn how to do it myself. And I realized like, oh my gosh, you get paid in real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you're good.
If you're good.
If you're good.
But I think probably unique to me from a lot of people is like, I don't know if there's ever been a point in my life where I was like, I'm not good enough to do this. I'm on the opposite end where I'm like almost borderline delusional that like no matter what I do, I can put my mind to it and I could dominate and I could be the best. And like, I think that's fortunate for me. I also think that obviously like there's some blessings and some curses to that. Because like sometimes I don't listen to reason and like I'll just keep grinding.
Not necessarily a bad thing though.
Not a bad thing, right? But like it doesn't always connect with every single person. And like that's one of the things that I've been learning in real estate is like it's not about me. And that's not even why I'm doing it anymore. Like first it was to get paid and learn investment, and now it's like I care so much about my circle, my family, and the people that are under my stewardship, under my wings, that like I will do anything in the world to make sure that they're provided for and that they learn how to spread their wings themselves and learn how to fly. And so like me learning how to connect with them when they have a different belief system about who they are, what they're capable of, what their fears are, like that's been so rewarding to me because I've went from my own perspective and my own eyes being, 5'8", super handsome, you know, this perspective that I have, and like I've now been able
can do nothing wrong, can be flawless, like everything
super fly all the time,
everything that has to go into having that mindset,
right. So I take that mindset, and like I'm now able to put myself in other people's shoes, and I understand when I say something, they could interpret it a completely different way.
Well, you've been in real estate for how long now?
Just about 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years in, you originally jumped into it because you felt like you could make the money, you felt like you could do the things, you felt like you could learn how to invest. Can I call it selfish?
100%.
It was selfish reasons that were motivating a lot of what made you start in real estate.
Sure.
But now we're going to kind of transition into what keeps you in real estate, and you've kind of already started to touch on this, right? I remember the very first sales meeting that I went into your house. I drove past it. Right, I drove past it because like I'm driving around looking for an office, looking for somewhere, and me and my brother are like, wait, I think it's this house.
It might be the crib right here.
Yeah, it might be the house right here on the road. So we go and we knock on the door and we open up. It looks like a damn frat house.
Yeah.
Right. Some kid answers the door. I'm wondering if his parents even know that he's there. Right. He looks like he's 17. I don't remember who it was that answered the door, but he looks like he's a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I walk in. There's LED lights on the walls. There's a spin the wheel. Right. Tell everybody at home what the spin the wheel is.
Well, we got two of them, and one's a reward wheel and one's a punishment wheel, and you know, I'm heavily dominant on the punishment wheel. Like for me, I want criticism. I only want to know what I'm doing wrong. I want to be punished when I do something wrong. I literally, even when it comes to sports, like I have gone away from this, but like I'll punch a wall because I want to break my fist because I want there to be a negative punishment for me. But like I also realize that most people
That's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Most people are motivated by like telling them that they're doing well and rewarding them and pushing.
I used to think that was coddling people, and it's not, right?
It feels like it to me, but like I realized that it's 100% not. So I have both of those, and I want people to be recognized for the good, and I want there to be kind of a fun element of, you know, when we fall short, which we all do, like there's something that galvanizes us as a team, and like you have to do something embarrassing, or you have to do something dumb, or like, you know, it could be a sting pong. So if you show up late to the morning meeting, you pull up your shirt, somebody slaps you with a freaking ping pong ball, and like that's that. And like you pay for your sins and you move on, and like we all love each other, and I feel like we love that environment. And that's what I've tried to create, is because I only hire people that I know that I can love. And I only hire people that I know I can get 100% of who I am, because that's what I care about. It's not about the money anymore, and I'm sure that we'll get into this, but it's about the people that I'm surrounded by and me feeling like I'm being the leader that I'm supposed to be for them. And when I see them develop a new skill set, become a new person, change their mentality, I know that it's affecting them, their spouse, their family, and future generations. And like, to me, that's the legacy that I want to leave. I grew up with the best family ever, and the only thing that matters to me really at the end of the day is family. I mean, my entire family motto is family over everything.
Why go down this route, right? Why go down? We talked about the reason why you got into real estate in the first place. It was purely selfish.
Yeah.
Why go down the route of having a team of a bunch of 20-year-old kids, right? Anywhere from 8. You said the youngest is 18.
We had an 18-year-old. I think the youngest is 20.
So you got 20 to 35-year-old
yeah,
kids.
Yeah.
Right, that are just trying to figure it out like you were a few years ago.
Yeah.
Why even go down that route, right? You get better at real estate. It's very it's not easy, but you picked it up, I'm guessing, relatively quickly on your own. You started selling quickly. You started interacting with clients quickly. Why slow all of that down to start a team?
I mean, the truth is exactly what you're saying, which is, if I wanted to make the most amount of money, I would get 3 assistants, 2 showing agents, and I would run it all underneath my name, under my brand. I would build my brand, and I would stack my racks. But like that's 100% not what it's about. I'm fortunate enough where like my needs are met, and I have enough resources to be able to take care of my basic needs. So that's set on the table.
Was there a moment that flipped that for you? Was there like or was it just like over time you're like, okay, I need to make this bigger. I need to grow this, and the only way that I can do that is through a team.
The second that I got into it, I realized that teams were a thing in real estate. I knew that I wanted it because, you know, growing up doing sports, I've always thrived under that environment. I've always thrived under competition and having a team that I can cooperate and compete with at the same time, and we're doing it for each other, but we're also pushing each other. So like the second that I realized teams in real estate were a thing, I knew that I wanted it. And then and then my vision expanded, and I said, okay, I'm doing well. I'm making 6 figures in real estate my first year. I want to be able to create something for my brothers. I have 5 brothers. I want to create something for them that they can be a part of, that I can do with them. Like, to me, that was the marriage of everything I ever wanted. in my life is like
putting it all together.
Yeah, my family there, being a leader, being able to grow as a person, and doing it with my family. And then that just expanded into my friends. So like I have friends from back in Michigan that I went to high school with that are on my team. All of my growth on my team has been organic. So it's been people that have been on the team that have wanted other people to be on the team. And how can I say no to that? Like I love the fact that I have a team. I know it's easier for me to disappoint myself and let myself down as opposed to when somebody's counting on me and relying on me, like my wife, like my daughter, like my family, like my younger siblings, like my team. I have to rise to the occasion. So putting myself under a microscope and putting stress on myself, fourth quarter, ball in my hand with 10 seconds to go, like that's when I do the best. So I put myself in that environment, but I did it because like I know for me to be the person that I need to be, it's contributing back to the people that I love. And so that's why I have the team. That's why I have the people on my team that look the way that they do, is because those are the people that I resonate with. And those are the people that I love. And those are the people that, all similar ages, different backgrounds, different races, but like all people that share the same goal of trying to grow. And like, I'm just fortunate enough to be a part of that where it's very rewarding. And I've seen my agents grow, make more money, change. And I literally have seen their future unfold in front of my eyes from one outcome to a completely different outcome. And knowing that I had a small part of that, like that's way more rewarding than any of the money that I'll ever make.
Well, I love that, because I think that when you're super, super clear on why you run your business the way that you do, which you just detailed for us beautifully, it translates into a better process for the clients. What would you say that process looks like for your clients, because you guys are so clear and you guys are up and at 8 a.m. every single morning, 5 days a week, trying to make sure that you stay on, I don't want to say trying, making sure that you stay on top of the market and on top of the change and on top of everything that's going on in real estate, because it is a full-time game, right? How would you say that the way that you've set up your team, how would you say that translates into a better experience for the buyers or sellers that work with the Belknap team?
That's a great question. So I do think that it starts with the team, because like I think first and foremost, I serve my team members because I spend every single day with them, and then that translates into the client experience. And both of those is who I serve. And so I look first and foremost to how can I better my team, and then how do we better our clients because of the training that we offer our agents. So my process when I got into it was I looked at all the people that I felt like were doing a good job and all the people that I felt like were failing, and I interviewed people and I asked them questions, and I tried to develop the best of everything and avoid the worst of all the other stuff. And so the reason that why we meet every single morning at 8 o'clock is because I think that morning routine and ritual and organization, you can see it in every different level of analysis in different companies, families, organizations. When you have structure and organization, you're so much more likely to develop habits, routines that will allow you to be successful.
But I think a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they're not jumping into it for the habits and the routine and the structure and the organization. Yeah. They're jumping into it for the opposite reasons.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be in the business. And I don't care. Like,
no, but that is the entire premise of the show, right? Is that there are 28,000 real estate agents in the state of Utah. I want to start interviewing some of the best in that. And I think that structure and that drive that you guys have puts you at the top of that list, right?
I think it definitely contributes. And I guess I shouldn't say that they should not be in the industry, but they should ask themselves truly why they're doing it. If you want to be successful and serve your clients at the highest level and you want to grow, like then you're going to put regiments on yourself and you're going to push yourself and you do things that you don't want to do. And like probably the best litmus test for if you're growing is are you doing things that are hard that challenge you? And so that's what I try to demand out of myself and out of my team is we're there at 8 o'clock every single morning from 8 to 9. We're learning something. I did that. We're so complicated as people, but like I did that selfishly, but also selflessly at the same time. Like I knew where I wanted to be in my career was somebody that could talk, speak, deliver at a super high level.
It's a big purchase, right? For a lot of people, this is the biggest investment that they're going to make in their lifetime. And I think that you understand that you want to take it just as seriously as they do, right?
Yeah. Like I think in order to be a successful agent, it's almost incumbent on you to understand where your client is coming from. And if you don't understand the magnitude and the weight of what a purchase represents to them, and like in a pragmatic sense, truly understand, like they're putting
if you understand it, your process is going to look very different than I think how a lot of agents approach the business, which is I will take it as it comes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get in the business to have a freedom of schedule. I actually have the opposite. My schedule, I work for myself. In reality, I don't work for myself. I work for my clients. I work for my team members, and my time is not my own. Like I'm an employee almost more than I am a business owner. But like that's because I'm here to provide value. I'm not here to make money for myself. So, my process with my clients is I educate every single one of my agents more than anybody else. And that's specifically towards sales and communication. A lot of times we have a negative connotation towards sales, but like sales is really.
I want to be sold on stuff personally. Right? I want somebody that is educated in vehicles to say, let me tell you and explain to you why this is what you need to have to protect your kids, to make sure that your wife has a car that's not going to break down on the side of the road. Like I don't even look at it as sales. Personally, I love working with people that are commission based because I feel like they are more inclined to getting the deal done over somebody that's an hourly employee that's just there to help you answer any questions if you need anything.
Yeah. I think sales is the ability to look at every single option available to you and eliminate the ones that don't make sense and be able to narrow it down to a couple that provide you the best chance of being successful, and then to work through all the possibilities within those couple of options and then decide for yourself what is going to work best for you. And people do things because they're in a current state, point A, where they're unhappy with, or
current dissatisfaction, right?
Current dissatisfaction, and they see something that could help and bring value to their life, and that's point B. And as a salesperson, your job is to help them understand the difference between point A and point B and get them there at the easiest route possible that's going to mitigate as much risk as possible to that person. That's what sales is. And that really comes down to fundamentally understanding the world, synthesizing it, and then helping people decide for themselves what they want to do.
Yeah, and I love that because I love what you said. It's point A to point B, and I think that the last thing that a really great salesman ever wants to do is be the thing that stops those people from getting to point A to point B. Right? I have always said that the reason I put as much time as I do into what I do is because I am not going to be the thing that stops somebody from buying a house. My lack of knowledge, my lack of ability, my lack of an understanding about current market rates or trajectories or whatever is not going to be the reason that somebody chooses not to buy a house, right? It's going to be because it's not the best opportunity for them. It's not the best. It doesn't either alleviate like you said, the current dissatisfaction. We live on a busy road. I don't like the memories in my house, whatever it might be, or whatever that future promise is, right? Whatever that thing that they're chasing is, I am not going to be the thing that stops them from hitting that.
Yeah. What would you say is the thing that stops them most often? Because I think I have it narrowed down to a couple of ideas that I have, but I'm still developing it. So do you have like categories of what you feel like prevents people from understanding their point A and point B and then working towards it?
I think the one I focus on a lot right now, and that's a really good question, is let's just throw this out there. I started therapy personally, right? For no other reason other than I like personal development. And it has been amazing to me, some of the scars that I have from things that my parents did to me, that if I was to bring this up to my mom and dad, they'd be like, I don't even remember what you're talking about. Yeah. And I think I understand that now as a parent, like, holy crap, I'm going to scar my kids doing things that I have no idea that I'm doing to them, right? And what I'm saying by that is that the amount of outside pressure that people are facing right now when they're saying, hey, I want to buy a house, whether it's from their parents going, that's enough right there, I think, to stop a lot of people from making a decision. And I don't think that these outside voices are doing it maliciously. I think that they're doing it out of love, but I think that there is so much outside pressure right now about what the market looks like that I feel like that's kind of what I'm fighting against a lot right now is, well, my dad said this, my friend said that, my brother-in-law said this. I feel like that's a lot of pressure currently, more than, and I don't even know how to quantify that other than just saying it's like a feeling, right? It's like it's a vibe almost. Yep. Just it's almost like a negative time to buy a house for some people right now.
Yeah, I think that's huge, man. And like you talked about our responsibility as parents in raising our kids. And, I feel very fortunate because my parents left very few scars with me, and I think I was able to reconcile a lot of those. But
no, and I don't even mean scars like things that hold you back. I don't think that parents understand the weight of what they say to their kids, right? Like the fact that your dad was a builder was a big reason why you felt comfortable jumping into real estate, which is a world that a lot of people don't feel comfortable in. Even though you acknowledged he was in Detroit, you were here. I think part of the confidence that you had coming here was like, okay, at least I understand what goes into building a house. Yeah. There's so much that parents do without even intentionally realizing it, that it's not always for the best either, right?
Yeah. So that's, I guess, the point that I'm trying to get to is majority of the time we look at the world through our own lens of what it means for us and what we think about other people, and we make judgments and we make accusations or we interpret what they say. And as a parent, it's so important to, as much as you can, set aside your own needs and your own wants and your own desires and just allow your child. I'm thinking about my daughter. She's only 2 years old, but I'm like, I had all these ideas on what I wanted my kids to look like. Like first, coming from my family that I came from, I wanted four boys right in a row, and I wanted them all to be in sports and competitive. And I had all these dreams of going to their football games and pushing them and driving them. And I had a little girl. And I'm like, what? Like
none of that matters.
Like I'm like, bro, this is not what I was planning on. But like then I saw this little girl go from like being a helpless infant that like relied on me and my wife to just feed her and sleep her and change her. And then it's like I watched her become like a little person, and now she's got this personality. And like my only goal right now is I want to take all aspirations of what I want her to do, and I want to remove them. And I want to just say, whatever it is that you're into, that you like, that you want to investigate, I just want to support you with that.
I got you.
And like, I got you. And like, I'm probably going to spoil that girl more than I should. And I always thought I would be the disciplinarian, but I think that will be my wife with my daughter. But my goal is to when she leaves my house, for her to say, my parents love me so much that my self-worth can never be questioned. And
wait
if
till
I
you
can
have a boy,
that,
it'll mess with you.
Oh, well, I know I will parent my boy.
No, when you realize, like, so I have a daughter and then a son.
Yeah.
When you realize, like, my daughter jumped into a pool without her life jacket on, I straight in, right? Jumped in, because that's my little girl. And I afterwards, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yeah, I think if it was my son that jumped in, I would have stood over the edge of the pool and said,
don't drown, boy.
You got yourself in this mess. Get yourself right. And I wouldn't, but it's just, it's very interesting to see the differences that you are going to, that you're going to have when you raise a boy and a girl.
Yeah. I think for both of them, my intention is for them to know that I unconditionally love them, but 100% I will raise them differently. But I want both of them to walk away from it saying, my dad loves me no matter what I do, no matter where I go. He's okay with me pursuing the things that I like. And I want to truly embody that. I really do want to remove my ambition and motivation for what I want them to become, and I just want them to be happy. And that's like really, that's kind of a new concept for me, because as a real estate agent, as a team leader, I think I have these ideas on what I want my agents to accomplish and how they want to do it. And becoming a parent has opened my eyes a little bit to the fact that like not everybody's going to have the same desire towards financial success as I do. But like the true path in life is growth, but happiness at the end of that. And and growth can look very different, but sometimes we sacrifice our happiness for other people's opinion of what that looks like. And I feel like if you have self-worth, which is what I'm trying to instill into my kids and my daughter, I think that they won't have to second guess themselves on what happiness looks like for them.
Well, I love it. The last question that I love to ask people, we got like 1 or 2 minutes left here. Whenever I'm selling somebody or having the conversation with them about buying a house, the piece of advice I always give them is this: even if you don't buy something from me, just buy something, right? Give us one little Brett Belknap piece of advice that even if somebody doesn't use you to represent them in buying or selling their house, what's the one piece of advice you would still give a buyer or a seller?
Probably that buying is not always right. As much as like real estate is an incredible investment, I think that wisdom is understanding where you're at in life and what your goals are. And sometimes that could be buying a house, but it could be buying a condo. And sometimes it could be buying a mother-in-law where you rent out the basement. But I think that you should talk through what your emotional fears are, and you should be able to really come to terms with that and not shy away from what you're afraid of. And I think that you should ask yourself, where do I want to be in my life today as a person? Where do I want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and when I retire? And I think that you should ask yourself, how do I get to that point? And then you should pursue that route. And as long as you think through it, like I feel like a lot of times we avoid the scary thoughts in our head, or we don't know how to be resourceful and figure.
We don't know how to navigate them.
Yeah, we don't know how to navigate them. But if you want to put all your money in the stock market, that's okay, as long as you think about it and you decide all of those conditions for it. But I think that majority of the time it's fear and misinformation that prevent people from moving forward. So I say, even if you're not buying with me, like consult with somebody that you trust, understand what the implications are, and then whatever it is, pursue that until you get the thing that you want. And if you do that in buying a house, you do that with your spouse, you do that with your kids, you do that with the people important in your life, and then like you can become the author of your destiny, and you don't have to leave it up to other people to write your story.
That's beautiful, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Okay.